Welcome to Rich C's Ghosts, where we dive into the weird and unknown. Don't let the name fool you. I'm not a medium. Actually, give me a extra large or a large. But here we explore ghosts, aliens, demons, ghouls, everything paranormal or weird. Join me, will you? So, some dolls are cute, some are creepy, and some come with warnings not to look them in the eyes. There's just something about haunted dolls. I don't know what it is, but anytime I tag along on a paranormal investigation, one of the first things I ask is, are there any dolls here? Now, if someone tells me a doll is haunted, my first instinct, try to befriend it. Warnings, disregarded. I already know I'd be the first to go in a horror movie, and I'm weirdly cool with that. Bring it, Annabelle. But that brings me to today's video. We're breaking down some of the most well-known haunted dolls out there in one place that's high on my paranormal bucket list. Yeah, I know there are a ton of videos on these dolls already, but I'm a haunted doll guy. I had to make this one. Enough blabber. Let's get into it. Imagine rowing through quiet canals just outside Mexico City, surrounded by water, trees, and hundreds of laughless eyes staring at you from the branches. Welcome to the Island of the Dolls, or as the locals call it, La Isla de las Muñecas. This place is one of the most disturbing and legendary haunted sites in the world. It all started with a man named Don Julian Santana Barrera. According to legend, he found the body of a young girl who had drowned near the island. Not long after, a doll floated to shore. He believed it belonged to the girl, and he hung it in a tree as a sign of respect. But something changed. Don Julian became obsessed. He started collecting more dolls, hundreds of them. Dolls missing eyes, dolls without limbs, dolls so withered by time and the elements they barely looked human anymore. And still, he kept hanging them, as if the girl's spirit needed more, or wasn't alone. Visitors have reported hearing whispers, laughter, and even crying despite no one else being around. Some say the dolls move, eyes shift, heads turned. A few brave or unlucky tourists even claim their electronics failed completely when they stepped onto the island. But here's the real kicker. Don Julian died in 2001. Drowned. In the exact same spot he said he found the girl's body decades before. Locals believe the dolls didn't protect him. They claimed him. Today, the island is open to visitors brave enough to go there. Many bring offerings, new dolls, trinkets, candles to show respect. Others leave quickly. For most people, this place sounds like hell, but for me, this sounds like a fun time. Hopefully, I'd leave having made hundreds of new friends. Leaving the canals of Mexico behind, we head to a much quieter setting, but that silence doesn't make it any less disturbing. This dog comes from the UK, where a woman named Candace Collins bought what she thought was just an antique. What she got was something a lot darker. His name is Norman. Not long after bringing Norman home, her life started to unravel. Nightmares, sudden bruises. Her young son began talking to the doll like it was a friend, even though no one taught him its name. She tried cleansing it with sage, holy water, nothing worked. The energy around Norman didn't just linger, it pressed down on the room like thick air. Even skeptics who visited said they felt uneasy around him. Some refused to stay in the same room for long. One visitor claimed Norman smiled when no one was looking, and not the friendly kind. Still, Candace kept him. Maybe out of fear, maybe out of curiosity, or maybe it wasn't really her decision anymore. Okay, look, I know what I said, but I kind of get it. I mean, yeah, Norman's given off full possessed by a silent Victorian boy energy, but I still want to meet him. Let me tell you about a doll so clingy it makes your ex look emotionally stable. This is Letta Me Out, a haunted doll from Australia that's over 200 years old and somehow still acting like a toddler who missed nap time. The story goes that Letta was discovered under an abandoned house by a man named Kerry Walton. As soon as he brought it home, strange things started happening. Dogs would freak out around it, people felt sick or overwhelmed with emotion, and some even claimed the doll moved on its own. But here's where it gets real weird. People have reported hearing a child's voice whispering, "Letta Me Out," which is how it got its name. According to legend, the doll might be possessed by the spirit of a drowned boy, and apparently he's not a fan of being left behind. The owner says if he tries to go anywhere without Letta, the doll throws a metaphysical fit. Stuff breaks, lights flicker, classic haunted tantrum. Also, Letta has supposedly been seen crying, actual tears. I don't even know how that works, like, is there haunted plumbing involved? And here's the kicker, it's said that every time Letta's taken outside it starts raining. Not coincidental drizzle, we're talking full dramatic horror movie weather, like the sky itself is on this doll's emotional roller coaster. Whether you believe in cursed dolls or not, one thing's clear. This one is not okay with being ghosted. But who is? This is Harold, and I'll be honest, Harold's not just haunted, Harold's petty. In 2003, he popped up on eBay, the very first doll ever sold on the site with the label haunted. The seller claimed Harold caused intense migraines, nightmares, and even physical scratches to people in the house. The original listing read like a warning, but that didn't stop bidders. Somebody out there said, "Yeah, I'll risk it." But it didn't stop there. Harold got passed around like a cursed hot potato. Every new owner had a story. One said they got seriously ill after handling him. Another had a full mental breakdown within weeks. A priest was even brought in to bless the doll and reportedly refused to finish the ritual. And one investigator, Anthony Quintana, made it his mission to document everything. He claimed Harold's activities spiked during thunderstorms, and people visiting Harold's case experienced blackouts, nosebleeds, and even sudden emotional breakdowns. Today, Harold's locked in a display case, monitored closely, and still, people won't look at him too long. Some believe he's possessed by multiple spirits. Others think something darker is using Harold as a vessel. Yeah, okay. Harold doesn't just act haunted, he acts offended, like you opened his listing without reading the terms and conditions. And I know better than to bring him home, but man, a part of me still wants to sit across from him like, "Oh, Harold, you good? Who hurt you? Was it the antique store lighting?" I swear I'd be the guy trying to host a podcast with a haunted doll and end up getting spiritually roasted halfway through the first episode. This next one doesn't scream evil at first glance, but don't let her silence fool you. Mandy might just be the quietest chaos you'll ever meet. She's been living at the Canal Museum in British Columbia since the early 90s. Before that, she belonged to a woman who said she couldn't take it anymore. Why? Because she kept hearing the sound of a baby crying all night, every night, but there was no baby. The woman swore the sound came from the basement, and when she checked, nothing except Mandy. After Mandy was donated, things didn't calm down, they ramped up. Staff noticed their lunches would go missing, objects would move. A stuffed lamb that used to sit beside Mandy, it would vanish from her case and show up in random rooms. Visitors reported their cameras malfunctioning when trying to take pictures of her. One guest said her phone stopped working until she left the building, and more than one person claimed they saw Mandy's eyes move, slow, deliberate, like she was watching. And here's the wild part. The museum doesn't deny any of it. They just keep her there, in her own case, alone, which honestly makes her more terrifying. Okay, I'll admit it. Mandy's got that quiet menace I like. She's not throwing chairs or speaking Latin. She's just making sure your lunch disappears and your phone dies mid-selfie. And the fact she chills behind glass like a little museum diva, I respect it. If I ever visit, I'm leaving her a cookie and backing away slowly. But if I hear a baby crying from the basement, yeah, I'm driving back across the border. Some haunted dolls move, some cry, but this one, she grows hair. Real, human hair. This is Okiku. She's been kept at the Manaji Temple in Hokkaido, Japan, for nearly a century, but her story starts back in 1918, when a young boy named Eikichi Suzuki bought the doll for his little sister, Okiku. She adored it, slept with it, carried it everywhere, but just months later, tragedy hit. Okiku died suddenly from an illness. Her family was devastated, and they placed the doll on a family altar in her memory. And then something changed. The doll's hair started growing, not in patches, not doll hair. It was thick, black, human hair, the kind that has to be trimmed. Priests at the temple began cutting it regularly, but it always grew back. Scientific analysis confirmed. The hair is human, and no one can explain how it keeps growing from a porcelain head. Some believe Okiku's spirit moved into the doll after her death. The temple now cares for it like a living presence. No photos are allowed without permission, and people say if you disrespect the doll, you'll regret it. Okay, she's got a temple, a haircut routine, and ghost energy. I can't even keep a plant alive, and she's over here outgrowing hair ties. I know it's supposed to be creepy, but I kind of love that she's still getting pampered. Like, if I go to Japan, I'm showing up with a tiny brush and good manners. Let's talk about one of the most iconic haunted dolls out there, Robert. He's over 100 years old and lives at the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. But before that, he belonged to a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto back in the early 1900s. That's where things started getting weird. The boy would blame accidents on the doll. Neighbors claimed they saw it moving through windows. His parents said they heard footsteps and giggling when no one was around. They locked Robert in the attic, but the activity didn't stop. Later, when he was moved to the museum, people started sending in letters. Apologies mostly. Visitors believed they were cursed after mocking the doll. Bad luck, illnesses, breakups, even car accidents. And now, Robert gets fan mail, hundreds of letters, some asking for forgiveness, others just trying to stay on his good side. You know, you're on a different level of haunted when people write apology letters to your glass case. And I won't lie, Robert's got this vibe. He doesn't move, doesn't talk, doesn't grow hair, but you feel him watching, just chilling like, go ahead and test me. I'd still visit. Respectfully, no jokes, no selfies, no trying to poke the glass, just me, Robert, and a polite nod with both hands visible at all times. Maybe compliment the pit, because let's be real, sailor suit, still kind of crisp. This is Annabelle, not the Hollywood porcelain version, but the real deal, a soft, harmless looking Raggedy Ann doll that just so happens to be one of the most infamous haunted objects on the planet. Her story goes back to the 1970s, when two nursing students claimed the doll was moving on its own. At first, it was small stuff, different positions, different rooms. Then it escalated. Notes appeared that no one wrote. A friend of theirs said the doll attacked him in his sleep, leaving claw marks on his chest. They reached out to paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Their conclusion, Annabelle wasn't possessed by a ghost at all, but something far worse, a demonic entity, using the doll as a way in. Annabelle was locked in a glass case in the Warren Cope Museum with one job: don't touch it, don't mock it, and whatever you do, don't stare into her eyes. There's even a story about a guy who taunted the doll while visiting the museum. On his motorcycle ride home, he crashed, didn't make it. His girlfriend survived and swore he was laughing at the doll just minutes before they left. Look, I know the rule, don't stare, but I watched that Sam and Colby video where they sat right in front of her, and I stared right along with them. Locked in. I'm still here. No flat tire, no cursed coffee cup, just chilling. Still, if I ever meet her in person, I'm not blinking. I'm not breathing. I'm saying good evening, Miss Annabelle, like she's royalty. Then I'm leaving a peppermint and backing out the room like I offended a grandma ghost. This one comes from Reddit, and when I read it, I knew I had to share it with y'all. The story, creepy, detailed, and honestly kind of wild in the best haunted doll way. This is Violet, a doll that showed up at a yard sale with a warning taped to her chest. And what followed is one of the eeriest haunted doll stories I've come across. So I'm going to go ahead and read it for y'all. Just sit back, turn the lights down, and maybe don't look at your nightstand for a while. I was driving past a random yard sale when this doll caught my eye, like really caught it. She was just sitting there in a chair with a note taped to her chest that said, "Haunted, take it, it's free." Now, of course I had to ask. The owner looked me dead in the eyes and said, "We don't want her in our lives anymore." That's when she told me Violet's story. She said her daughter begged for the doll at a thrift store. On the drive home, the girl named her Violet. Seemed harmless until the next day. The mom heard her daughter arguing in the living room, but when she checked, her daughter was calmly watching TV with Violet beside her. "Who are you talking to?" she asked.
"Violet,"
the girl answered. Things escalated quick. A week later, while her daughter was away, the mother heard a girl's voice coming from the bedroom. She walks in and Violet is sitting alone in the middle of the room. She moves the doll back to the bed and heads to the kitchen. That's when the magnet letters on the fridge spell out "hi." Then a music box starts playing on its own, and then the bedroom door shuts by itself. She bolts outside and waits for her husband. When he gets home, they find Violet in the living room, sitting in front of a coloring book. He steps forward, and the pages start flipping like crazy. Then the book launches across the room. That it. The husband threw Violet in the shed, and that's where she stayed until the morning of the yard sale. And me, I was sold. I thought the story was wild, but I didn't feel anything bad from her, so I took Violet home, put her on my nightstand for a whole month. Nothing, no whispers, no weird dreams. I started thinking maybe the haunted part was just part of the sales pitch. Then one night, I feel something sit at the edge of my bed. I flick the lights on, nobody there. I live alone, no pets. That's when it hit me. She's back. A few days later, I'm in the kitchen making a sandwich, and I hear a little girl's voice whisper.
"Hi."
Right over my shoulder. I jumped so hard I hit the living room corner like Scooby-Doo, clutching my chest. Later that same night, I hear giggling from my bedroom. I walk in, and there she is, Violet, sitting on my bed. Not the nightstand, the bed. Now I'm starting to believe everything that woman told me. So I buy an EMF detector. Because if the ghost shows can do it, so can I. I place it near Violet, and boom. Spiking, constant. I then buy a spirit box, nothing but static, for 2 weeks. But then I hear from them,
"Hi, I've got the thing."
I go back to the original owner. She tells me the doll might have been tied to that same music box that went off. She gives it to me, I bring it home. A few days later, the spirit box fires up again. A girl's laugh, followed by a man's voice saying one word. "Devil." And look, I'm a haunted doll guy, but I've seen enough movies to know what that could mean. A demon pretending to be a little girl? No. I took Violet outside and threw her in the backyard. She landed face down. The next morning, I found her sitting upright, closer to the house, staring at me. That's when I put her in a storage unit. Haven't had any activity since. But I still think about her. Like I've got this itch to go back. Lock myself in that unit. Just one more spirit box session. Maybe she's just lonely. Maybe I'm crazy. Or maybe I'm not ready to know what else Violet's hiding. So, yeah, whether it was just a thrift store find or something darker riding along, Violet's story definitely hits different. I don't know what's creepier, the whispers, the spirit box, or the fact that even after locking her away, she's still on their mind. Let me know in the comments, would you have taken her home or left her sitting in that chair with the sign that said, "Haunted"? Take it, it's free. I think we know my answer. Welcome home, Violet. Just a few bonus thoughts before we end. This one isn't haunted in the traditional sense, but the story behind it carries the kind of heaviness that sticks with you. During the 1840s, a young girl named Patty Reed brought this doll with her on the journey west with the infamous Donner Party, the group of pioneers who were stranded in the Sierra Nevada during the winter and forced into, well, desperate choices. When the journey got rough and wagons had to be lightened, Patty was told to leave all her toys behind, but she hid this one small doll in her dress and kept it with her the entire time. That doll was there. Through starvation, through freezing temperatures, through loss and fear, most of us can't even imagine. It survived when so many others didn't, and today it sits in a museum. Silent, fragile, but full of history. People who visited say it carries a deep, heavy energy, like it's still holding on to those memories. Say this one hits different. It's not about possession or curses, it's about what the doll's seen. What it survived. The tiny porcelain face was there through one of the darkest chapters in American history. You don't need it to blink or whisper. It's already haunted by what it's been through. I don't even know if I'd want to touch it. Not out of fear, just respect. That doll's been through more than most people ever will. Alright, last one, I promise. And this one's exactly as cursed as it looks. They call it the Devil Baby doll, and yeah, the name kind of tells you everything, but the backstory, way deeper and way darker. Legend says that back in the 1800s, the daughter of a wealthy Scotsman broke off an engagement with a jealous ex. That ex wasn't just heartbroken, he wanted revenge. So he turned to none other than Marie Laveau, the famous voodoo priestess of New Orleans. According to story, Laveau cursed the woman. When she went into labor, she died during childbirth, but not before giving birth to something unnatural, a devilish creature. Laveau raised the child in secret until its death. Some say it's buried next to her. But the fear didn't die with the child. Locals were so afraid of its spirit, they started creating doll versions of the devil baby to ward off evil. Only problem? The dolls didn't repel anything, they invited it. Now, these dolls are said to be cursed, possessed, or just straight up evil. People who keep one report nightmares, growling noises, and feelings of dread, and honestly, even if you don't believe the stories, just looking at it kind of says enough. Yeah, I don't care how deep my haunted doll obsession goes, this one's testament. I mean, look at him. That is not a teasing ring kind of baby. That's the kind of baby you find waiting at the foot of your bed at 3 a.m. asking cryptic riddles in Latin. And who thought making replicas of a cursed devil child was a good idea? That's not protection, that's summoning in bulk. Okay, who am I kidding? Where can I buy one? And that wraps up our haunted doll video. Possessed, cursed, giggling in the dark, and for some reason, still available at thrift stores near you. Whether it's a doll with growing hair, one whispering from a glass case, or a devil baby with a gym membership, one thing's clear. Some toys ain't meant to be played with. So if you ever see a porcelain doll staring at you from a yard sale chair with a free sign, just remember, free isn't always a good deal. If you have stories of your own experiences and would like to share, please post them in the comments, send me an email, or drop a message on IG or Facebook. I'll have all of that linked in the description and bio. Hit that like button or I'm going to send a devil baby doll your way. Subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, as we have much more to dive into. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there and maybe leave the dolls alone. Or don't. I'm not your spirit guide. Until the next video, I'm Richie, and this has been
Rich seas go.